Well, today I would like to talk about A.E. Van Vogt, one of my favorite science fiction authors, and I think he was very influential in science fiction from 1939 until today. And I have discussed A.E. Van Vogt a bit in my review of Starship Troopers 1984 and the World of Null A. And I think he was very influential on both 1984 and Starship Troopers. I also discussed him a little bit in my Star Trek review, and Gene Roddenberry. I think he was very influential on Gene Roddenberry as well. Today, I would like to talk about the weapon shops of Isher and the weapon makers. Well, of course, they're both by A.E. Van Vogt. The weapon shops of Isher first appeared as the short stories The Seesaw, Astounding July 1941, and The Weapon Shop Astounding December 1942. The first novelization was published by Wonder Stories February 1949. The Weapon Maker sequel was published by Astounding February, March, and April 1943. So let's see, I've got my books here, but they are really pretty worn out. I've had them for 55 years. And this is an Ace edition of the Weapon Shops of Isher. And I've read this book many times. And unfortunately, it is pretty much falling apart. And in here, here's a list of the Van Vogts that they had back roughly around 1971 or 72. And there is no actual printing date in this book, at least that I can find. So that one has been read a lot. And here is my copy of The Weapon Makers, which is a tempo book, Grosset and Dunlap, as I recall. And it's in pretty darn good shape. I have not read this one as much as The Weapon Shops of Isher. And again, in this book, I cannot find a date when it was printed, but the copyright is a little jumbled up here as well. Street and Smith, 1952, and A.E. Van Vogt, 1947. So the book that I have used for the last really 55 years to read the Weapon Shops of Isher for the most part has been Volume 1 of A Treasury of Great Science Fiction, edited by Anthony Boucher. Now, this book was published quite some time ago as well. Copyright 1959 by Anthony Boucher. But it is very difficult to find a hardbound copy of the Weapon Shops of Isher. If you can find one, it's very expensive. The book has been largely ignored for 30 years, and it was very controversial at the time. And you will see why. But that we won't go into. It's pretty apparent. So the book starts out in June 1951. A mysterious building appears in Middle City, USA. The large, bright sign at the front of the building reads as if seeing it straight on from any angle. Fine weapons. The right to buy weapons is the right to be free. This begins probably the most inventive works of the golden age of SF, possibly even more so than Van Vogt's own Slan, The Voyage of the Space Beagle, and the World of Null A. Van Vogt creates a complex complex Earth civilization of the far future. Two powerful and opposing forces are at odds for generations: the Isher Empire and the weapon shops. The Isher royalty-based government of corruption, monopolies, and mass crime has been steadily controlled by the weapon shops for generations, who provide the populace with personal firearms far superior to those created by the Isher Empire. The weapon shops also provide an alternate court system to the Isher court system. One of the ways they correct wrongs is through hacking the computer systems of the Empire. Now, when one of the main characters, Farrah Clark, ends up in this court system, it's an incredible reading experience, and I can't recommend it highly enough. He goes and actually complains to the weapon shops about how he was swindled out of his business by the Isher Empire and one of their monopolistic corporations. The weapon shops consider his application for help, and zip, he is teleported off to Mars, where he's with a bunch of other folks who are looking for help from the weapon shops. And the courtroom is this gigantic area with literally hundreds, if not thousands, of people going through the various stages of getting help from the weapon shops. So that's a very interesting part of the book. But Van Vogt also depicts hacking, teleportation, time travel, a very unique virtual reality, lie detectors, kidnapping, slavery, philosophical concepts, governmental concepts, human nature concepts, all of this with very strong female characters, also all in a wildly entertaining ride. Philip K. Dick named Van Vogt as a primary influence, and you can certainly see that in this novel and PKD's novels. So this is these novels have been out of print for decades, which is bizarre and really inexcusable, because they have so much in them that are germane to everyone on Earth, actually. One of the few SF novels to look at personal firearms ownership. There are others. I can only think of one short story. I have read these novels many times over the last 60 years, and the other Van Vogt mentioned, plus the Mixed Men novel. And his many Golden Age short stories. I mean, he has incredible concepts that he creates out of thin air. Far Centaurus, Not the First, Enchanted Village, The Monster. There are a whole lot, and it's really odd that he is not talked about as much as he was through the early 1980s. So now I will include a link to a free site that has all of the non-copyrighted Van Vogts available to be read. That will be included here in my written review. Outlaw Bookseller has a fantastic and detailed review with great graphics. I will include a link to that as well. They clearly had read the book, because the beginning of the graphics shows a picture of a young woman that I recognized as Imelda Isher before Stephen even mentioned he was talking about A.E. Van Vogt. So that's all I have on this for today, and I can't recommend this book highly enough. I hope everyone takes a look at it, and it is an incredible read and will keep you entertained and interested throughout. The Weapon Makers is not quite as inventive or wild as the first book, The Weapon Shops of Vischer. If you get through The Weapon Shops of Vischer, then you will probably want to read the sequel. Thanks again. I hope everybody's having a great day.